Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me. This week, my guest is Rich, and he runs the Etsy shop Zip Zap Craft Shack, and he has quite an interesting genesis story for his Etsy shop. So I'm happy to introduce him to you and hear his story. Rich, thank you so much for being my guest on the podcast, and welcome.
Hey, Jama, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to finally be here. I've been listening to you for quite a while now, and there's a lot of good information on here. It's very inspiring.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to the podcast too. I appreciate that, and I like to have listeners on because, in a way, I feel like we kind of know each other, even though this is our first conversation. So, what do you do on Etsy?
So I run an eco-friendly and sustainable laser cutting and engraving business. So all of our wood that we use is 100% sustainably grown in farms in the U.S. So anytime we cut wood, it's basically helping the environment, right? So everything that you buy from us is eco-friendly. All of our packaging is paper. We donate to plant trees for every order that we do.
Oh, wow.
We just try to reduce our impact on the world around us.
Yeah.
So
I assume that also means that you vet the sources of your materials just to make sure that they are being responsible in their growing and production, right?
I am glad you asked that. Yes, we do. So I've gone through quite a list of suppliers that it's very hard to find a supplier that not only claims that they do these things, but also has proof and follows up with these claims that they make. So that has been a challenge, finding vendors to help us with our business.
Yeah. So for other people who want to run like an eco-friendly store and just be cognizant of and responsible about the resources that they're using, what are some steps that you would advise them to go through to even begin to partner with other companies that share the same values as far as, protecting the environment and what have you?
Yeah, so a lot of it comes down to just having an open communication and dialogue. So usually what I do is I start with a simple Google search. Let's say I'm looking for packaging, right? I Google eco-friendly packaging. I then go through the list. I read usually they have like mission statements, testimonials, etc. I see if what they saying jives with what I want. And then I contact them. I ask them, not only about their products, but about how they ship the products to us. Because if you're gonna buy a whole bunch of boxes, right, of recycled, reusable, biodegradable, cardboard boxes, you want to make sure that the stuff that they're sending to you also isn't, being shipped in, a ton of plastic. It kind of defeats the purpose. So it's basically opening up that communication line and establishing, a line of trust with them. And so
do you find that using eco-friendly and sustainable products adds to your bottom line costs?
Unfortunately, yes. So there are a lot of other laser engraving businesses out on Etsy, selling wine charms, wood cards, nameplate settings, wedding stuff. And unfortunately, from a price perspective, I cannot compete with them. They're unfortunately, the wood costs significantly more to do this environmentally friendly. The packaging costs more. But with those increased costs, not only do I try to provide the benefit of having, lower environmental impact, I try to have the value add of great customer service, right? And personalization on your items, right? So when you go through my shop, not only are you getting an eco-friendly item, but you message me on any one of my listings, I basically will customize it completely from start to end, walk you through the process of getting you a product that's unique and special to you.
Wow.
So we do a lot of wedding stuff, and it touches my heart, a little bit when we get a message back from a customer saying, how it, helped their special day, and how every, every one of their guests got to take home, a special momentum that was personalized for them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. I like that. And speaking of which, can you tell us exactly what you sell? Because I know you sell a wide variety of items.
Yes. So, for the past 8 months or so, my shop's relatively new. We just hit a year back in July. For
Mm.
the first year, it was 95% wine charms was what I was selling. So eco-friendly wood wine charms, and then gemstone wine charms. Um, and you could personalize the shape of your wine charms, your accents, your bead colors, your gemstone colors, your ring
Mm.
color. I do other value adds on my wine charms, like instead of just getting them in a box, you'll get them in eco-friendly burlap bag that you can use to store them.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of my laser cutting business. Then I started branching out into other areas. So I also do pet tags. So we do eco-friendly wood pet tags um, that you can customize with text, name, phone number, etc.
Yeah.
And recently we started getting into the gaming business. So I'm a huge nerd. I love video games. I love engineering. So I play Magic the Gathering, I play Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc.
Yeah.
So we started recently selling gaming accessories that are all eco and wood friendly, which is very unique in that space right now, it seems like.
Yeah.
uh, so
How how do you reach out into like the gaming community because you're a part of it? Is it easy to market to a community that you're already a part of, and how do you do that without coming off as being too, I guess, forceful or pushy with your product?
so with the gaming community, a lot of them like to see cool stuff.
Okay.
So if you come out with something with a neat design, if you just show it off as, let's say, an art product, like, oh, look at, I made this cool figurine, I put this cool design on this, it kind of becomes organic because somebody, I'll post to Instagram or Pinterest, people will see it and say, wow, I really like, this accessory that I got that's got this cool gaming logo on it. And then they'll start sharing it with their friends and such because it's just, we like cool things and we like to share and show off cool things. That's kind
Yeah.
of what the gaming culture is these days.
So do you post in places where you know other gamers hang out, or is Instagram, is that a good place to get your products out there?
So I don't post anywhere gaming specific. That's
Okay.
actually a great place I could probably branch out to. But yeah, no, uh, Instagram, Pinterest, I just target with tags. If I'm going to say Magic the Gathering, the communities on there are actually very large because
Oh,
everybody likes to show off their collections, their neat toys and showcase pieces.
right.
So on Instagram, it's a great place for the gaming community to show that stuff off on.
Okay. Now, Rich, what first drew you to Etsy? Did you always know you wanted to start a creative business, or is it something that you kind of fell into because you were a maker, and then you've heard the usual story where people will tell you, "Oh, you should sell this."
So this is going to be kind of a long answer on my end because you have to know a little bit more about me and what I do outside of Etsy right now.
Okay.
So I am a STEM educator. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. I educate, or I volunteer my free time teaching high school students how to build robots, basically.
Hmm.
And I grew up in high school with this program, and now I mentor this program. And with that, we use CNC machines, milling machines, water cutters, laser cutters, and our team unfortunately doesn't have a lot of money. So a lot of the things that we buy comes out of my pocket. So I always try to find neat ways that I can uh, help the team um, buy new tools, materials, etc. So I actually started up a robotics-based business a little while ago that I just didn't have time to work on.
Mm.
And when this pandemic hit, I started hearing a lot about Etsy and how people were moving to Etsy. And that's when it clicked. I can buy machinery for the team, and I can use that machinery in the off time to sell stuff on Etsy and recoup the costs. Um, yeah, so it's basically we had a problem, and Etsy turned out to be the solution, and it's been working out great for us. So I'm able to now, um, basically using the profits from the store, I'm able to now buy machinery, materials for our team. Um,
That is inspirational because I know, and I know you've probably heard this before, but sometimes educators don't get, enough credit for what they do, what they pour into our kids, in schools and what have you. And hearing that you started this business, it's a creative outlet for you, but it also affords you the ability to give back to your students. And just for the record, I know this because I have some pictures from Rich, which I hope if you're listening to this, please go to convome.com and look up episode 335. You'll see pictures of the kids that Rich mentors, and they enter competitions, and they have won recently. And so I'm going to post some pictures of them and the things that they make, and just so you have an idea of what he does as a volunteer, in addition to running his Etsy shop. But not just that, you're also an engineer by day. So how do you balance your time? How do you manage it all with, running a business, working, and mentoring the kids? What does a typical day look like for you?
oh, geez, balance. I'm still trying to figure that one out myself. So like you said, I'm an engineer by day. I'm a software engineer. So, uh, I actually the pandemic, the quarantine kind of helped me in that regards. So
Mm.
I now work from home, which allows me to work on my Etsy store during the day while I'm also working in between tasks.
Yeah.
So so my my 9 to 5 is basically my engineering day job. I then do a little bit of Etsy stuff here and there when I can. Afterwards, from about 5 to 7, that's pure Etsy.
Mm.
And then after that, I am usually working and helping the kids out, with their engineering tasks.
Yeah.
So I am basically full bore all day.
Do the kids know about your Etsy shop?
They do, yeah. So
What do they
this is
think?
they love it. So I actually have so when I first started my business before Etsy was a thing, I had a vision in mind, right? It was more than just being able to find a way to make money to put back into the team.
Mm-hmm.
I want to eventually employ my students in the company so that way
Mm.
they can make money for themselves.
Yeah.
They get to use machines, they get to learn engineering, they
Yeah.
get to then profit off of that to pay for their costs for traveling, for team T-shirts, etc.
Mm.
So, because unfortunately, being in the robotics team that we are, uh, it is very costly for the students, and we try to
Mm.
lower that cost through sponsorships and fundraising. So now I'm kind of trying to tie this in. One of my visions is that one day, when you order from Etsy, sometimes people write you a little thank you, like a handwritten thank you card.
Yeah.
I want my cards to be from the students. I want them to say your order was prepared by little Tommy. He's
Oh.
an aspiring mechanical engineer, and part of your part of the profits from your purchase are now going to go towards his education, essentially.
Oh,
So
nice. I love that.
yeah, so
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I was gonna say, so one of my alumni has actually just started helping me out with the business, so that's my first step into that. But yeah, hopefully I can, once we start getting more sales, we start growing, I can start taking on more students to help me with my orders, and we can get there sooner than later, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I hope so too. And I think even just having the experience of working in a business is giving them your students that is, additional life skills, and introducing them to the world of entrepreneurship, which might be for some of them. I mean, I know not everyone is built to be an entrepreneur and run their own business, but having the exposure doesn't hurt. And I think sometimes people don't discover that until they are exposed to it. So that's a good thing that you're doing.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons that I'm part of this program, right? Is we get to expose these kids to science, engineering, they get to go on the machines, they get to program in different languages, they get to do CAD and Inventor, they get to use 3D printers. They get exposed to this. So that way when you get to college, you're not just dropped into it and you're spending whatever it is, 20, 30, $40,000 a year to find out, oh wait, this isn't what I wanted. I'm not into
Yeah.
mechanical engineering. I'm into programming, or turns out
Yeah.
I'm into the business side. So yeah, like you said, bringing ZipZap into the fold here now gives them a little bit more on that business side. Having to deal with inventories and how to track your profits and your
Yeah.
losses and your how to deal with margins. So
Yeah.
it's just another outlet that we now have.
Yeah. Now, for you, how was the transition from running? Because I know you said you started a robotics based business initially. What was the transition like, or how does running a business on Etsy compare with what you were doing before?
So what's nice about Etsy is that the people come to you and people trust Etsy, right? So it's much easier to funnel people into your business, and it just kind of helps alleviate a little bit of that stress, which is why I love Etsy so much. Yeah. So, because before there was not only coming up with the products, but coming up with uh, the website, the the marketing and the ads, and getting people
Oh,
to
yeah.
say, "Oh, this company, I trust ordering from this company." It's just it's a lot to initially take on. So Etsy's
Yeah.
kind of opened that up and really helped make this a little bit more successful.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. Can I ask how you came up with the name Zip Zap Craft Shack?
So that's a little bit of a story, but basically, I was talking to some of my gaming friends actually, and I was like, I'm about to start this laser cutting business, and I need a name. So we started brainstorming here and there, and you know, because our main tool that we use is a laser, we said, well, lasers make zapping sounds,
Oh, yeah.
and so we started playing around with different names with the word zap, and then we said, oh, let's add in. We want to be fast, so zip zap, and we just started playing with words and stuff like that. But the other thing that is, I work out of a little tiny office basically, and I have all sorts of tools, machines, computers, electronics, and it's basically like a little shack. So we just kind of started playing with the words and putting them together, and we eventually came up with Zip Zap Craft Shack.
Yeah.
So
Well, it makes perfect sense when you explain it. And I don't think you should change it then.
yeah, I was talking with Hijama, and I do know it is a mouthful to say, Zip Zap Craft Shack,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'm at this point where I do like it. It fits our brand.
Yeah.
It's a catchy name to me, but
Yeah.
it is a long URL to type out, unfortunately.
It is, but I mean, it's in line with what you're doing and it
Yep.
flows with your story.
Yeah.
So, um, you have a lot going on, you have a lot on your plate. Um, how do you keep track of what you need to do next? Like, as orders are coming in, and how are you balancing creating new orders and coming up with new designs while still keeping up with what you have going on already?
So that's an interesting question. So I do a lot of stuff in Excel. So I keep track of all my orders in Excel. So I know what I need to get done for that day. Every time I get an order, it goes into Excel. Then from Excel, I'm gonna say, okay, I need to get this done. And basically, any free time I have after all my orders are done, that's when I get my creative juices flowing and start
Yeah.
designing new products and such. But also with that, most of my products are actually inspired from the customers. So al- almost all of my wine charm listings aren't things that I said, oh, I need a wine charm that has a sunflower on it, or I needed a wine charm that has a boat on it. Usually somebody will find my listings and say, hey, I love your aesthetics, I love your mission, I love X, Y, and Z, but I would really like if it had a beach ball on it. Can we do that? And I say, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. We throw a beach ball on it and we say, we got a new product now. And then we start listing that. So most of our products are actually driven by our customer base.
Yeah. Have you ever had a request that you couldn't fulfill, like a design that you just weren't able to create?
So far, not yet, but I'm accepting challenges. If anybody listening, needs something that we don't have, throw it our way and we'll see what we can do. Oh,
Nice. Now, how do you figure out the pricing for your products? Do you work in Excel and just plug in all the numbers for the raw materials and then come up with your profit margins and then you get your price, or do you have some other type of system?
So you basically hit the nail on the head. Excel all day. As an engineer, I'm used to the Excel, so that's kind of where I've been sticking. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I actually planned on sharing my Excel sheet with you and the rest of the community here because I I'm a avid listener of your podcast, and I feel like this comes up a lot where people are like, well, I use Excel, but I don't know how to account for my time versus the time that it takes for something
Yeah.
to dry. So how do I price this? So over the past year, I actually came up with an Excel sheet where you can input a whole bunch of different parameters, such as, on mine, I have columns for the materials, I have columns for the time, and then within my time, I have them spread out between, basically what I call man hours versus machine hours.
Oh.
So, right, because for me, if something takes an hour to cut on the machine, let's say,
Mhm.
I don't really care. I basically have a different hourly rate for that versus how much my time is worth creating a product.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah.
right, so or if something's got to dry overnight, let's say, I
Mhm.
don't I don't care if it takes 24 hours to dry because it really doesn't eat up any of my time,
Yeah.
and I don't want that to basically go into my hourly wage, I guess, if you
Yeah.
want to say it that way. So I have this fancy Excel sheet that basically lets you divvy up all these different areas and keep track of them. And it'll actually spit out at the end saying, well, you spent this much time on the machines, this much time on drying, this much time of of cleaning things up, etc. So you can track on all my different items how much each step was taking, and then how much I was making per hour for each one of those steps. And the
Whoa.
other the other thing my Excel sheet does is it takes into account all the Etsy fees, if you're going to do coupons, the off-site ads. I know that's a big one that people
Yeah.
don't realize that, when you get charged at 15%, what it's going to do to your bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
So my Excel sheet actually has a column. It has a column for if there's no coupons or extra fees taken out, and has a column for if, let's say, your worst case was you offered a 20% discount plus the 15% uh,
Mm.
ad fee. What's your bottom line going to be?
Mm.
So that's actually how I adjust my prices. Is I look at both. I look at what I want to make on an item, and then I also make sure that in the worst case scenario, I'm not losing any money.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I plan to share that with the community, and hopefully it helps somebody out.
Thank you so much, Rich. I really do appreciate that. I have it's funny when you mentioned Excel the first time, that was why that came to my mind, because I was like, okay, if he said Excel, I know he probably is all up in Excel for other things too. And yes, that would be so helpful, and I really do appreciate you sharing that with folks listening too, because I know many sellers are bleeding out money without
Yep.
realizing it. Like you said, not just in the fees, but then also, with advertising and the advertising, the offsite ads. I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, but I think because those are kind of surprise sales, it's hard to account for them going in, ahead of time, if you don't know that something is going to sell through an offsite ad. And so being able to project ahead of time, to include that just in case it does sell, I think is really helpful. And I know it's something I'm not yet doing, because I've gotten some offsite ad sales, and my profits were different than the sales that I got without it. And so that's when it hit me, oh, okay, I need to take into account the fact that some sales might come in from offsite ads, and I'm not accounting for that in my pricing.
Yep, that's exactly what happened to me. Was I was originally accounting for offsite ads in my original pricing,
Mm-hmm.
but then all of a sudden I realized, wait a second, I was losing money, and what I wasn't accounting for was when you start compounding the offsite ads with sales that you're running,
Yeah.
and other things that are going on, and then paying Etsy ads and
Mm-hmm.
any other advertisement that you're doing, and I realized, oh no, this is something I have to start keeping track of, and that's kind of what inspired all these extra options in my Excel sheet.
Yeah.
So
Is it a sheet that will still work if one doesn't have as many steps in their production process?
yes, so
Okay.
I I'm gonna give you a little bit of a simplified version of it.
Okay.
That's more generic, but if anybody listening wants, you know, extra options or features, or they realize, oh, I need to account for this, feel free to get in contact with me, and I don't mind updating that and sending it out again. So
Oh, thank you so much, Rich. The joys of having a software engineer on board. You know all these things, and you know how to manipulate Excel.
yep, yep, that's it's a day job for me. So
Yeah. Rich, do you know folks sell dynamic Excel spreadsheets on Etsy?
do they really?
Yes, they do. We can talk about it
Interesting.
after, but yes, yes, they do.
Sounds like I might have another business avenue
I,
here.
I'm
But
thinking. That's what I'm
but with
thinking.
that said, I will provide my this Excel sheet for free. So
Thank you. Thank you so
yep.
much. So let's talk about customer service. I know you said that you like to give your customers a really good experience. And I know it's not just because your products might cost a bit more because of the the quality of raw materials that you're using, but also just it's good practice. Have you ever had to deal with any unhappy customers?
So no, I will say, so unhappy is a strong word.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, um, I've I've never had a bad review. Every review I've gotten so far has been 5 star, raving. You know, I felt like Rich was a personal friend of mine, etc.,
Oh,
etc.
yeah.
And those one means so much to me. That's the reason I go the real reason I go the extra mile with the customer service is
Mhm.
I, especially now that I work from home, I don't talk to a lot of people. So I love talking to my customers and
Yeah.
helping them out. So I get a whole bunch of extra little friends from this. But um, with the customer service, I I recently got a 4 star review from somebody who bought one of my products, and oh, so actually a little bit of backstory. So all my custom products that you buy from me, I actually send you digital proofs of everything that we do for you to approve.
Hmm.
And then I also send you a picture of the final product before I mail it out for you to approve. Just to make sure that, we didn't mess up any spelling of names, that
Oh, right.
you got the right combination of fonts and you can read everything okay. So
Mhm.
anyway, I was working with this one customer, and she loved the product in the pictures. Didn't have any complaints. She was like, "Oh my God, it's cuter than I expected." And unfortunately, I got this one review that was 4 stars from her, and I actually messaged her afterwards to say, "Did you have any issues with your order, etc.?" And she said, "No, everything was amazing." And the reason I normally wouldn't have cared, but with this new star seller that they
Oh,
introduced, that
yes.
one review blocked me from my first star seller
Oh,
badge. So
no.
that's the only. It's not even really a complaint, but that was the only time I had a not perfect experience with a customer. Other than that, everything's been amazing. I love working with people. So
Yeah. Okay. I don't personally have anything against the new star seller thing, except for situations like what you just described, where ordinarily 4 stars, it's still great. But then now it's like we have this ideal that we're now reaching for where, 4 stars becomes painful because you're like, oh,
exactly.
I could have if not for, and it's completely out of your control.
Yep.
You
And unfortunately, we're a low volume seller right now, so every one of those reviews really makes a big impact on
Yeah.
that star seller award. So I also have mixed feelings about it. It's a nice little badge, but yeah, it can be a hit to your shop. So
Yes. Yeah, I know. I know. I feel the same. I feel like if you have it, it's great. I was on Etsy yesterday, and I was in a shop, and I saw that yesterday was actually the first time I saw it on display the way they intended, where it was featured in somebody's shop, and I thought, "Oh wow. Okay, I want that too." I mean, I don't have it because yeah, I don't know. I missed the, like you said, little things can just make you miss the mark, and then it resets, like you get so close and then the month resets and you're like, great, now I have to start
yep,
from scratch.
exactly, yeah.
But I saw it
So
on someone else's store and I thought, ugh, now I want that too.
yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure Etsy claims that it doesn't help you in rankings or anything along those lines. But at the same time, when you look at it on the different shops, as a buyer, I'm kind of like, oh, well, this has a fancy little badge here.
Of
I should prefer this
course.
shop over the other shop.
Of
So
course, yes. I mean, maybe right now it doesn't factor into search rankings, but psychologically, for a
hmm
buyer, it means something. So, yeah. Okay. So, you mentioned using Pinterest and Instagram. Do you have any specific strategies that you use for them, or is it the standard post and hashtag? Well, that's on Instagram and Pinterest. Honestly, I don't know anything about Pinterest strategy other than just post, stick it on a board, and keep it moving.
geez, this is an area that I've been trying to improve on in my store. I Pinterest drives so much traffic to my store, and I have no idea how to use it.
Well, what do
I've been
you
trying.
do?
I I just I post a picture here and there and put some hashtags and some words in there, and
Uh-huh.
it's the biggest driver of traffic. But I'm not sure why. I'm definitely not using it to its full capabilities, and it's mainly because I just don't understand it yet. I'm not a Pinterest guy, unfortunately, and I don't have the time to spend to learning it right now. I'm kind of picking my battles, and unfortunately, Pinterest isn't one of them.
Rich, I'm right there with you. I think I've said this so many times on the podcast where I know Pinterest is really powerful. Um, but all I do is literally as I list, I will just stick it somewhere on one of the boards, on one of my boards, and that's pretty much it. But like you said, it does drive traffic. And I know I've been approached by Pinterest managers. I don't know if you're familiar with that whole concept, but there are people who specifically just manage Pinterest for sellers or bloggers or e-commerce people who run e-commerce businesses, and that's all they do is they just specialize in optimizing your Pinterest. Again, I haven't even taken the time to even look into seeing how someone like that could add value for me, because Pinterest just seems to be a machine that's running on its own right now. But yes, I know it would be a lot more powerful if there was some strategy put into it.
Yeah, that's one of those. I've been debating getting somebody off of Fiverr or somewhere to help me out with Pinterest, because I can definitely see the power behind it. It's just it doesn't really click in my brain, unfortunately. I'm more of an Instagram guy, but
Yeah. What's your
but
Instagram strategy?
so I just try to post pictures that match my aesthetic, things that I like to see. That if I was
Mm-hmm.
scrolling through a feed, I'd be like, oh, that's neat. Oh, that's pretty cute, etc. Cool,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the word is, and I just try to post things I like, and I just make sure that all my pictures are now branded. I recently started using Tailwind, which has been a major help in that area. Um,
Was it
yeah,
easy
so
to figure out how to use Tailwind?
I found it pretty easy to use. I did have some bugs here and there
Mm-hmm.
clicking around. Some things weren't working as I would have thought they would. But other than that, I recommend it. It's been super helpful in helping me be consistent. So I've been
Mm.
posting every day now, which has been a change. So
And with Tailwind, do you use it to schedule, or do you primarily use it for I know there's a feature called I think it's their looping feature, and that might be more for their Pinterest the Pinterest side. And just for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, Tailwind is a tool that helps with scheduling and posting on Pinterest and Instagram right now. And that's the best explanation I can give about it. Rich, is there more you can say about Tailwind?
no, you pretty much nailed it. It's basically just a tool that helps you. You could basically import your pictures and your links to your store, and it comes up with different designs that fit um, your Instagram feed, your Instagram story, your Pinterest, your Facebook uh, images, right? So each one of those has a different image size that you need. So when you upload an image to Tailwind, it'll automatically crop it to fit all those different aspect ratios, and then you could schedule those posts to go out at a particular time. So I'm very basic with it right now. I use it pretty much just to schedule the next day or the next 2 days out for
Mm.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because I just need to take more pictures. Otherwise, I'd schedule out a whole month if I could.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just been pretty helpful in terms of helping me be consistent and figuring out how to post to all these different places without taking up too much of my time. It's nice to upload one picture, pick out a few words you want to say on the picture, and then hit schedule, and it posts to Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook for me instead of me having to go to each one individually.
Actually, Rich, that's news to me because I didn't know they now posted to Facebook.
Oh, well, yeah. So I only started using Tailwind about a month ago, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, it'll do Instagram, your Instagram feed, your
Mm-hmm.
Instagram story,
Mm.
Pinterest, and your Facebook. So one button.
And I didn't know that it automatically crops every picture to the right aspect. I think I need to start using Tailwind. Like,
Oh yeah, no,
seriously.
if you want to get into the social media game, it's a big time saver. in terms of getting all these different little things you got to get done.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's as far as cost, I know they had I at least I know in the past they had a free version, but then there's the paid version, which is about, well, when I remember using it, was about $9.99 a month, I think.
So I believe that's the case. I'm pretty sure I paid $9.99 for my first month as well.
Okay.
Because the free version, it's fully featured, but it only lets you do so many pins a month, or posts, whether it be a pin or a post a month. I
Okay.
think it's 25 maybe. Um,
Okay.
and I think that's total. So like if you wanted to post to all 5 things, Instagram story, Pinterest, and Facebook, that means you only get 5 posts a month of the same picture. So that's why I upgraded to the next version, is it lets you do up to 100 a month.
Oh, okay.
At least that's my understanding. Again, I'm new to it, so don't hold me to
Oh,
any of that.
no, that's okay. Actually, that's very helpful. See, now you're giving me an idea to um maybe dig in more and then figure it out so I can explain it better on a separate like do a separate. So I'm thinking of doing more tutorial type videos and shows for things like this, like Tailwind, which I think would be beneficial for Etsy sellers. But I mean, I know some people have figured it out, but like I haven't. So like if I figure it out, I would like to come on and explain and walk people step by step how to really get the maximum benefit from something like that. So I think Tailwind might be worth another visit for me, just based on what you're saying, because sounds.
Yeah, there's actually another amazing feature that I've been loving with the Tailwind as well,
Mhm.
is they have this thing called the Smart Bio, which is basically a link that you could put in your Instagram. So people might be familiar with a link tree,
Yeah.
where basically it's a link that because Instagram doesn't let you have links in each post that you can click on to go anywhere. You
Yeah.
have to go to the profile, you get one link that you click, and it brings you to one website. So usually people use this thing called Linktree that brings you to a link of links, essentially, that you can then say, oh, bring me to Etsy or
Mm-hmm.
your own storefront.
Mm-hmm.
What's nice about the Smart Bio is that it'll actually link your scheduled posts to items in your Etsy store. So when your scheduled post goes out, your Smart Bio link will actually automatically post the new link to that item. So when somebody clicks on it, it'll bring them right to your store page for that item if they want to purchase it.
Oh, that is wild.
Yeah, it's been a neat new feature I've been playing with. So.
And on the paid version, and I'm sorry, folks, this will be my last Tailwind related question. On the paid version, can you have more than one Instagram account?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll do some digging and I think I'll put together some information and then just come back and share it, because I think Tailwind might be valuable for us as sellers. Yeah. Okay, so Rich, other than when someone reaches out with a request for a custom design, when you get an idea for either a new product or a new design idea, typically how long does it take for you to get it up and listed in your store, from the inception of the idea to actually having it listed? What's the time frame on average?
So for me, it's probably going to be a little bit different than everybody else because I'm a little bit insane, but the same day.
The same day.
Yeah, most times it'll be the same day. I will go from having an idea of a design I want to put on a charm or a new dog tag or a new gaming product. I'll go into Illustrator, draw it up, cut out a whole bunch of prototypes, and then have it photographed and listed usually within 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's kind of where my where my background in the robotics and engineering programs is like we do lots of prototypes. It's about, just getting stuff done as quick as you can and iterating on your design. So it's kind of helped me in that area of getting new products out as well.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Do you keep a backlog of your ideas, or Etsy itself is kind of your backlog of all the ideas that you have?
I have a huge backlog of ideas. So I keep track of it in a program called OneNote, which is
yeah.
a note-taking app from Microsoft. It's part of like the Word, Excel
Yeah.
suite, the Office suite.
Uh-huh.
So in OneNote, you can have different workbooks, and then in those workbooks, you can have different pages. So I have workbooks and pages for all my different categories of products that I lists of designs I want to put on wine charms, lists of games I want to start selling accessories for.
Mhm.
It's a gigantic backlog right now.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So, what would you say, if you were to think about it, are some things looking back on your experience so far on Etsy that you think have helped contribute to you just finding your stride on Etsy and just making things work for you and for your shop on Etsy?
Patience.
Mm.
So for me, it's been about I know a lot of people like to start a business and they need, I guess, immediate gratification from the business in terms of getting sales and doing it right the first time. For me, it's just been a matter of I know this is a long-term play for me, so I like to test things out and give it time to test, right? If I want to change, let's say I want to change SEO because I'm like, oh, this product isn't selling. Just having the patience to go through, do the research on what you want to change, and then giving it time to see what the results of those changes are,
Yeah.
as well as keeping track of what you changed and why you changed it. So patience is definitely been the key to, I think, my success so far on Etsy.
Thank you. And I think that's really helpful because you probably know that one of the things that a lot of us as sellers struggle with is when we don't see that instant response to something that we're so passionate about, something that we feel is just the best thing and the world is going to love it, and and they don't right away. And
Yep.
then we get discouraged. So having patience is a good reminder. Is there, or what would you say is something about selling on Etsy that you especially enjoy? And then on the flip side, are there any features that you would like to see Etsy implement on the platform in the future?
So my favorite thing about Etsy is just the type of person it brings in. Again, I love talking to the people. I love that they love that I'm giving them something that's unique to them, right? So that whole experience, that whole person that they're bringing in, that's my favorite part about Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of features that I would want to see from Etsy, I could go on forever about this,
Uh-huh.
but some of the big ones is I would love to see more shipping options. Let's say so. For me, I love to offer free shipping, but the fixed guarantee of the $35 guarantee kind of
Yeah.
kills my how I want to price my items. I wish that I could say I could offer free shipping on any order over $10, let's say, or being able to move that free shipping point would be amazing for my store. Um, that's one thing, and then the other thing, which is less for me and more for the consumer side, is I think the process of leaving a review is too complicated. I
Yeah.
get so many customers that are like, "How do I leave a review?" That I've actually have a typed up save response
Oh,
with a picture of highlighted click here, and then click here
yeah.
to leave a review. It's I find it kind of hidden and not straightforward for most people.
Yes. Yeah, actually you're so right. Sometimes that can be complicated. And it's so funny you say that you did that, because I remember doing that early on, when how in the beginning you just crave that feedback, and of course it helps your store to have reviews. And I remember sending messages to people who were like, "Oh, thank you, I really, I'm very happy." And I'm like, "Okay, could you please leave a review, and just in case you don't know how, you have to go here, then click this, then do that, to get to it." And yeah, so that could be improved. I mean,
Yeah,
plus,
yeah. That
hmm no, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah. That's actually part of my my post uh shipping process is I always monitor my orders for when they're delivered. I wait a day, and then I send out a response, like a pre-programmed response that says, you know, did you have any issues with your order? How do you like it, et cetera, et cetera. I give them a little blurb about donating back, and how I do the profits, and I'd love to hear back any feedback in a review that you might have, and
Yeah.
then here's how to do it, uh, if you'd like to. So
About what percentage of the time do you think that does elicit a response, like a review, I should say?
it's it's been a big improvement for me.
Okay.
So I recently started doing this a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably get double the amount of reviews, I
Oh,
would say.
wow.
Maybe a little bit less than double the amount of reviews I was getting, but yeah, just that little reminder, and that little, basically you're kind of checking in on the customer and making sure that they like it. It's just, it kind of helps promote that them wanting to give something back to you.
Yeah.
So I find it helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I recently started doing that as well for one of my shops, a new shop that I started, and it's been slow going. Like, the funny thing is, I don't know if they see those messages like right away, because I found that the people who eventually come back and leave a review don't do it for at least a couple of weeks, which I find really odd. I'm like, do they just not check that email that often, and then when they did, they saw it? Or was it just at the back of their mind to get back to it eventually? I'm still trying to figure that one out.
So don't quote me on this, but I actually think Etsy has like a grace period, and I don't think they let you leave a review right away all the time. Because
Oh.
I've had a friend or two that have wanted to leave a review after purchasing something, and they're like, I it's not showing up yet for a review. So this is just, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's been
Huh.
kind of something I've seen here and there. So
Oh, well, that would make sense actually, because the timelines have been so similar, where I thought, you know, why is it taking them about the same amount of time to come back and leave a review, when,
yep.
I sent because like you, I track the shipping, and so then I'll wait a day or two, and then I'll send that, "Are you happy? Did everything look the way you wanted it to? Was there any problem? Please let me know if you are happy." But I'll send that message, and then it takes about the same amount of time for all of them to come back and leave her. So that actually does make sense. I mean, I understand, it's probably not a written rule somewhere, but it actually makes sense to me that that's probably what's going on.
Yeah. So
Rich, now, as a relatively new seller who is gaining traction, and you've found your footing, you're expanding, what advice do you have for other sellers who are still trying to gain traction in their Etsy stores, and just figure out what they're even doing on the platform? What would you say to that person?
So I kind of touched on this earlier, but one, patience. Just
Yeah.
don't don't get in your own head in terms of, oh no, people aren't liking my stuff. Just give it a bit of time. Things take a little bit to get out there before somebody can even see your product. And it's not a matter of people not being able to find it. It's just a matter of the way the internet works, basically. So one is having patience, and two is research, and more research. Get your E-Rank subscriptions, do your Googling, look at your competitors and shops and see how they're marketing, and figure out what twist you can put on those similar items if you are selling something similar to somebody else, and how you can stand out from the crowd. So that's my advice: research and patience.
I like that, and that I like that because one, you're telling them make informed decisions about what you're selling, and then wait for it to happen. And in the course of our conversation, I've been making notes of some resources that you mentioned, the Excel spreadsheet that you use, Tailwind, OneNote, and then just now E-Rank. Are there any other tools or resources that you find particularly helpful as you run your business?
So there is one more tool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone else mention it before, but I think it's Vela, I believe is what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
And what it allows you to do is it allows you to edit a bunch of your products at one time with one click. And for me, that's huge because I have over 100 listings in my shop, and most of my listings are exactly the same. So let's say I want to update my price on a wine charm. Well, it's not just one listing. I have to go edit 90 other listings, and it's very time consuming. So by using Vela, it lets me create like a profile for the price, and it allows me to apply it to all my wine charms. So if I want to update my price or my description or my tags for my wine charms, it'll automatically go through and update all my other listings for me.
Is that different from doing it, how you can do it within your Etsy shop manager?
So it's the same concept, but the Etsy shop manager, the quick edit that they have, is very limited. This lets you edit every feature of your listing in bulk, and it also lets you have profiles that you can apply to your listings. So you can just update it in one place, and it'll update all your other listings at the same time. Whereas with the quick edit in Etsy, you still have to go to each individual item and update it.
Yeah, that's true. And is Vela free?
It is free, surprisingly.
Huh. Wow. So is the developer just doing it out of the goodness of his or her heart?
I honestly am not sure, and I'm not asking too many questions.
I know, I shouldn't ask. I should just accept it.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
So the website is getvela, VELA.com.
Okay, getvela.com. So I will link to that as well so folks can check it out. And yes, it's so overwhelming when you have to make the same. Like recently, what was it? There was a recent change on Etsy where we had to update, shipping, with the shipping. I can't remember what it was. Just earlier this month or last month, where, if there was something missing in your shipping profiles, the listings wouldn't renew. And, in Shop Manager, it said, go and fix this. And it was so cumbersome to go through. Even if I changed the profile, for some reason, there were some things I still had to go in to individual listings and update. So having this would have been helpful, this Vela.
Yeah, it's been a big help for me in my shop and saving some time. So highly recommend it.
Okay. All right. So I will have a link to that. Rich, do you have an Etsy shop shout out that you want to share?
I do. So
Yay.
My best friend, I inspired my best friend to start an Etsy shop, and it's Crafting Sucks, SUCCS, as in succulents. And she makes all sorts of succulent-based crafts, candles, little magnets, etc. So
nice. Oh, Crafting Sucks. Okay. I will link to her Etsy shop in the show notes for this episode. Rich, what's the best way folks can connect with you and see, if they want to have a conversation with you, or if they have questions or want to place custom orders, what's the best way to connect with you?
So I am Zip Zap Craft Shack everywhere. So I would say your first line would be Etsy. I literally monitoring my Etsy conversations 24/7. But you can also get to me at rich@zipzapcraftshack.com if you would like, or Instagram. So really, wherever you find me, Zip Zap Craft Shack, I pretty much respond almost instantly to you. So I'd love to talk to some people.
Do you also have an e-commerce site?
I actually shut it down because I wasn't doing the volume and I didn't have the time to push to it yet. But zipzapcraftshack.com currently redirects to my Etsy store, and someday it'll also redirect to an e-commerce store.
Okay, got it. All right. So I will put links to everywhere folks can connect with you so that they can connect with you, and also to the resources we mentioned. Rich, thank you again so much. Well, first of all, for being my guest and for coming on to have this conversation with me, and then also for being so generous and sharing the Excel spreadsheet, because I think it's going to be really valuable to other sellers, because just knowing our numbers is the difference between wasting your time on a hobby and actually running a profitable Etsy shop. So thank you. That means a lot to me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. If you would like to connect with me, please go to convome.com, and I have a contact form on there, or be my guest, or you can connect with me on Instagram at Etsy Conversations. And I will be back with another episode next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.